What's going on, everybody? Spaceballs here. Welcome back to the Awakening Chaos Era video. Alright, today we're going to talk about the last patch that we got, because I made a lot of videos about farming, where the best place to farm is, should you be farming rune dungeons. So today I want to talk about, is it worth farming stage 9 in the rune dungeons, or should you stay in campaign? Because of the last patch, we don't get epic gear in mythic campaign anymore. I do want to say this about mythic campaign and getting epic gear. I absolutely loved it, but at the same time, it should have never been a thing in the game. I know you guys love it too, and it's sad that they took it out. Yes, I agree with you, but at the same time, it shouldn't be in the game. No gacha game ever had a setup like that. Never in my life in any gacha game I've ever played was I able to go into adventure mode and farm every major resource that I needed in just one run. I'm not sure why they did this in the first place. I'm glad that they took it out now and didn't wait too long, because the longer they waited, the more people would have been pissed off. So if they would have left this into global launch, or even after global launch, people would have just flipped out once they took it out of the game. It's one of those things, once you have it and then you take it away from the player, it just pisses them off and they end up quitting the game. I get that. Just know, guys, I'm not defending them or anything like that. Just from my experience as a gacha player, I've never seen that before, and I don't know why they did it in the first place. Getting better gear from campaign than you actually get in the rune dungeons is pretty stupid. And bringing me right into my point, should we be farming stage 9 rune dungeons, or should we stay in mythic campaign now, being it only drops 5-star blue gear and not 5-star purple gear? And the answer is yes, you should stay in mythic campaign and not go to stage 9 rune dungeons. I've been farming them for the past week or so, doing stage 9. I've done about 300 to 400 runs on Ash Dungeon, and honestly, I haven't gotten, I don't think, one usable piece of 5-star gear yet. My most common drop, and I'm going to put screenshots for you guys on the screen, my most common drop in Ash Dungeon has been 4-star purple gear or 4-star legendary gear. Even when I get legendary gear, it tends to be 4-star. I got one ring, I think, and it was a flat, so I couldn't even use it, and that was 5-star, but I couldn't use it because it was flat. So the thing is, the way the energy is in this game, and I'm going to say this too, the energy is kind of off right now. They need to fix that as well. The thing is, stage 9 just costs too much energy, and when you can farm mythic campaign, get 5-star blue gear, get your glyph, get your XP jelly all in one run, it's just not worth you coming into stage 9 of a rune dungeon and basically getting nothing for your bread. Now, you do get the enhanced crystals, but the drops aren't good enough at stage 9 to justify not farming, you know, the 3 major resources you can farm from mythic campaign and trying to farm out 4 and 5-star gear from stage 9, because you just won't get 5-star legendary gear. It won't happen. So if you can farm mythic campaign and get 5-star blue gear on a consistent basis, you are going to get much better gear doing that than you're going to do farming stage 9. And with the bread being so expensive and it being 10 bread per run and then mythic being 12 bread per run, bread wise, it's just much better to stay mythic and farm out all the resources until you're ready to go into stage 10 or 11. I would personally not start farming any rune dungeon stage less than 10. It just doesn't make sense, and even 10 drops 4 and 5 stars, so you can even argue that fact that depending on how good the drops are going to be in stage 10, you're most likely better off staying in mythic as well. For me personally, I'm not going to really start farming rune dungeons hardcore until stage 11, because that's going to drop 4 to 6-star gear. So I think stage 10 and 11 is the starting point for rune dungeons when you really want to start AFK farming and investing a ton of bread into it. But I definitely wouldn't recommend you guys going into stage 9 and doing your 10 times auto run. It will just be a waste of bread. You could have took that bread, went into mythic, got a ton of blue 5-star gear, and you would have got glyphs, XP jelly. You're going to be able to make a ton of 6-star characters, which is going to bring you right into stage 10, 11, and 12. And like I said, I know you're not getting the charms, but you're going to be able to feed that green and blue gear that you get from mythic as charms. So it basically works the same way anyways. All the gear you're not going to use, you're just going to feed that into the gear that you're using. So the charms really aren't that important when it comes to farming stage 9. It's not enough to justify the bread that you're going to be putting into the stage, because like I said, that's going to be the only thing you're really getting from the stage is the charm, and then the rest of the gear is just going to be food. I will put some screenshots, like I said, so you guys can see all the runs that I did. And again, I basically got nothing from it. It was a big disappointment. And that's going to go for every single rune dungeon across the board. You do not want to start these until you can get to stage 10 or higher. And again, stage 10 could even be negotiable, because if you're farming stage 10, you're most likely almost ready to start doing 11 and 12. Because the difficulty I noticed from 9 to 10 isn't that bad. And then I'm not sure what it's going to be from 10 to 11. It's probably going to be a little bit of a spike. But I feel like if your team is good enough and you're building the right units while you're farming mythic, see, that's the whole key here. When you're farming mythic, you should be gearing up the team that you want to bring into the rune dungeon that you want to farm. So if you want to farm queen, you should be building the team for queen, 6-starring them, max glyphing them, getting all the resources and blue gear you need to bring them into the rune dungeon of your choice. I know most gacha games, rune dungeons are more early to mid game content. It seems in this game they made it more mid to late game content due to the fact that Mythic drops so much stuff, so many resources, glyphs, XP jellies, decent gear. I know if I said runes, sorry guys. If I'm saying runes, I'm sorry. It's just the other game that I played called Gear of Runes. So don't confuse it. If I'm saying runes, I mean gear. I catch myself sometimes saying runes instead of gear. But you just won't get the gear you want from stage 9, and it really is just a waste of bread. So until your team is up and running from farming Mythic campaign, it just doesn't make any sense to go into stage 9 and farm heavily. Now, if you want to farm a little bit and just see what the drops are, just to check out what I'm saying, you'll see 100% that it's not worth it. So for example, unless your whole entire team is maxed legendary glyphs, all in plus 12 gear, whether it's blue, purple, legendary, you get a ton of free legendary gear from the game. That's another thing. You could do missions and farm Mythic and glyphs, everything at once, instead of just jumping into the rune dungeon. You're better off taking the bread you're going to use in stage 9 rune dungeon and bring that into stage 9 ability dungeon and farm out your abilities, because there's so many layers in building your champions. So before you start jumping into stage 9, you want to really have your team prepared for it. And then if that's the case, you're not going to need to farm stage 9 because your team is going to be strong enough to go into 10, 11, or 12. And really, it's going to come down to team synergy. So, for example, if I'm building an Ash team, I want to make sure my team is going to be able to clear Ash team. So you could do stage 9 and just do some testing. See how the boss works, the mechanics. This way you can get the team ready for stage 11 and 12. I'll tell you guys what I'm using. I'm using Hydrissa, William, Shadowblood, and I'm using Nathalia. It seems to work great. Shadowblood is going to clear the bomb, and then Nathalia and Hydrissa are going to clear out the little fire dudes. And this is going to allow me to be able to take out the boss in a significant amount of time, to where he's not killing me and I'm killing him first. And that's going to go the same for any rune dungeon you decide to start farming. I want to start farming Ash and Queen personally. So next I'll start building up a couple wood units so I can jump right into Queen, and I will farm them side by side, but I won't start farming them heavily until I could do stage 11. Me personally, I think stage 10 is okay too, just to get a couple sets, just in case you don't have good runes or good attack boots and you need to grab a couple speed sets. That's fine to do stage 10. But I think before you really start dropping that bread down and putting a ton of resources into the rune dungeon, it should be at least stage 11, because Mythic campaign is just too good in this game, even with dropping blue gear. And I know a lot of you guys were asking me, should we still be farming Mythic because it only drops blue gear? Some of my best gear in other gotcha games that I've played, Summoner's War, Raid Shadow Legends, was blue gear, and this game has a little bit of a different system when it comes to rolling the gear. In my opinion, it's actually better because it allows you to see the substats first before you actually roll it up to 12. In other games, you have to roll all the way up to 12 before you can see if it's usable or not. At least in this game, when you roll it, you can kind of see if you're going to use it or not before you actually max it out. But I already have some really solid pieces of blue gear myself, because you can get lucky, roll double into crit rate, double into speed, and then you're going to use that gear for quite some time. So where the game is now with the new bread system, now they did change the bread system. I'll show you guys. If we click up here, they changed this from 80 to 50. I do think that this is still too high. This needs to be like 30 or 40 in my opinion, or it needs to be 160 refill, because they did change the maximum of the bread from 120 to 160. But the thing is, they didn't change it here. So they lowered this to 50, but they left it at 120. If this was 160 for 50, it wouldn't be that bad. I think they would be almost there to fixing the actual bread problem. The one thing I will tell you about Awakening is the bread system, and the game itself is very expensive if you want to grind it 12, 14 plus hours a day. The game is overall a free-to-play friendly game, but if you're a hardcore grinder and you play the game like me and you're putting a ton of hours into it, it gets very expensive, because then you have to buy gems. There's not that many great gem packs in this game except for the double ones. So once you buy those, there's none left. So what do you do 2 to 3 months from now when you buy all the gem packs and there's nothing really left for you to buy? Now, they did take the bread packs out and they said they're going to bring them back. So hopefully the bread packs are good. But even with that, it's still not going to be enough to farm 10 to 15 hours a day. You're still going to have to buy gems somewhere down the line. In my opinion, for free-to-play players and just the game in general, I think they should bring this down to 30 or 40, or leave it where it is and bring it up to 160 and see how that does. But where it is currently, I just think it's too much. I already burned through all my meal tickets, because once you do some hardcore farming in Mythic and just farming legendary glyphs, the bread goes so fast. So if you're farming a ton, you're going to have to do these 50 refills every day, and it's just way too many gems at this point. I really wanted to make this video to touch on my last video that I put up when I said that you can farm all resources in one run, and you still can absolutely do that. You just can't get epic gear now. You're just going to get blue gear, but I think it's still almost the exact same thing and in par exactly where it was. Because again, blue gear can end up being really good, especially if you get attack percentage boots, you know, crit rate ring, attack necklace. I still think it's the best place to spend your bread until you're mid to late game. Because if we look at a Mythic run, again, 12 bread, we go back and look at stage 9 rune dungeon, and that's 10 bread. So for 2 bread difference, you're still able to farm 3 more resources, actually 4 more resources, because you're farming gold XP jelly, gear, and glyphs. And of course, you're not going to want to farm blue gear or use blue gear forever, but once your team is ready, then you can go to stage 11 and 12, and the drops are going to be so much better. It's just like when you farm glyphs in the later stages of Mythic. So, for example, if I farm this legendary glyph here on 4-1, the drops really aren't that great. I might get 1 or 2 per 10 run. If I farm the same glyph on chapter 8 or 9, the drop rate is going to be 10 times better. I'll probably get 3 to 4 per 10 run. And I feel like it works the exact same way in the rune dungeons. The higher stage you farm, the better drop rate you're going to get. And talking to the community in general, everybody says that stage 12 actually has really good drops, making me not want to farm anything less than stage 12 even more. But just to show you guys where I'm going with my account, you guys can see basically what I'm doing is I'm just going into Mythic. I'm getting my free gear because you get a ton of gear from missions, from events. You can buy from the shop as you farm the game. You're going to get so much 6-star legendary good gear without touching a rune dungeon and just staying in Mythic. And then alongside of that, you're going to get max legendary glyphs. You're going to get your abilities maxed. And when you're ready to go in the rune dungeon, you're going to know it because your team's going to be ready. You're going to have everything plus 12. And your characters are just going to smack as long as you have team synergy. It's really going to be about building team synergy and making sure that you don't waste your resources and just start building random stuff just because you want to build it. I almost made that mistake with Dark Nicholas. Now, Dark Nicholas is a good character, but he's only for arena. So I started dumping resources into him, maxing out his glyphs, and it was just a waste. I should have been focusing on getting my stage 12 rune dungeon team up and running first before I start playing with my side projects. I feel like a lot of us make that mistake. It's only natural, though, when we pull a new toy, we want to get it up and use it. But if we just scroll through my characters, you can see that all my characters, I'm working on their gear, I'm getting it up to plus 12, I'm working on their glyphs, and I'm getting all their abilities maxed. Not so much on legendaries, more on epics. Abilities are tough for legendaries. I always like to do the epics first, but like Hydrissa, I use her a lot, so she's completely maxed. I did stop doing her glyphs though, because I don't know how long I'm going to use her for, but I will max these out as well. There's just so much to farm in Mythic campaign, it makes no sense to waste your resources in stage 9 rune dungeons. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you farming stage 9 rune dungeon? How are your drops? Do you think what I'm saying makes sense? That you should still be a Mythic even though it doesn't drop purple gear? If you really think about it, the only thing you're missing now with Mythic not dropping purple gear is 1 substat. That's really all you're missing. The only thing that changed was literally 1 substat. So keep that in mind if you are farming stage 9 rune dungeon. Go back into Mythic, get your glyphs maxed out, because maxing out your glyphs on 12, 13, 14 characters, it takes a long time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it takes a ton of bread to do it. And I already showed you guys how quickly you run out of bread and how much you have to spend to be able to farm 10 to 15 hours a day to max out all these glyphs. So wasting your bread on stage 9 rune dungeon, it just makes no sense to me. But I want to know what you guys have to say, so comment down below and let me know what you're thinking. Thank you guys so much for the support here on YouTube. The sub celebration is still going on, but I'm picking the winners this week. So this is your last chance to join the giveaway, and that is linked down below with my Twitch and my Discord. We do 2 monthly giveaways on Discord, random giveaways on Twitch. If you want to be a part of the random giveaway that we do here on YouTube, all you have to do is sub to the channel, like and comment on my past 10 videos, and I will automatically enter you to the random giveaway. I truly do love each and every single one of you. I will see you in the next one. Spaceballs out. Peace.